Hi everyone. I hope you all are good. I'm also doing good. Thanks for your good response on my first video. In today's session, we are going to discuss the withholding tax. So let's start. First we need to understand what is the withholding tax. Withholding tax means a tax deducted at the source. Whenever we receive any services from the foreign vendor and when we make the payment to them, the foreign suppliers, we need to withhold or we need to deduct some part from their payment and we need to pay that amount to the our Oman tax authority. So you can say in simple words, if your liability to pay to that particular foreign vendor is 100 rial and let's say the withholding tax rate is a 10%, 90 rial you need to pay to the foreign vendor and 10 rial you need to deduct and need to pay to the Oman tax authority. Now, why the withholding tax imposed by the tax authority? There are two main reasons. First reason, to ensure the uh, to ensure Oman tax authority to get the tax revenue in advance. Second, reduces the risk of tax collection from foreign residents who do not have the PE in Oman. Because these foreign suppliers do not have the permanent establishment in Oman, so Oman tax authority can't go behind that and ask them to pay the tax. So they can ask you because you are the registered in the Oman and you are complying with the Oman tax authority. So they collect the tax the same time when you are paying to these foreign suppliers. Now, let's start with the provisions of the Oman Income Tax Law. As per the Article 52 and 53 of Oman Income Tax Law, withholding tax shall be charged on the following categories of income realized in the Sultanate of Oman for any foreign person who does not have a permanent establishment. Now, I am repeating again and again the word permanent establishment. We will understand it in the next slide. So, what type of services and what type of categories for which we need to deduct the withholding tax for the foreign suppliers? If you are paying for the royalties, consideration for research and development, consideration for right of use or computer software, management fees, performance of service. Here the performance of service have seven types of exclusions, means for these seven category of expenses or services you don't need to deduct the withholding tax for the foreign vendors. What are these? That is mentioned in the point number 2. If you are paying for conference, seminar and exhibitions, if you are paying for the trainings, transport, shipping of goods or insurance thereupon, airline ticket or cost of staying abroad, indirectly you can say it's reimbursement of the expense. Then payment for the board meeting, payment of the reinsurance, services rendered in relation to the any activity and property located outside the Oman. Means if your property is located outside the Oman and if you are receiving any services outside the Oman from the foreign suppliers, so in that particular situation you don't need to deduct the withholding tax for these particular vendors. Now the point number 3 explains in before withholding tax was applicable on dividend and interest initially, but when His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq became the Sultan of Oman, so he suspended the withholding tax on dividend and interest, but there are some clarifications and condition to get the benefit of that. Then any taxpayers who pays or credit, whichever is earlier, pay or credit, whichever is earlier, we need to deduct and need to pay the withholding tax to the Oman tax authority. On what amount we need to deduct? You need to deduct the withholding tax on the gross amount paid or credited. Gross, don't pay on the net. Gross amount you need, on the gross amount you need to calculate the withholding tax. Whenever we need to file the withholding tax return you need to file from the end 14th of the succeeding month. Suppose you receive an invoice from the supplier on the 5th of January. So what is your deadline to file the withholding tax return and to deduct and pay to the Oman tax authority? 14 February, means 14th of the succeeding month. Before 14th of the succeeding month you need to deduct the withholding tax, you need to pay the withholding tax, and you need to submit the withholding tax return as well. Then, if there is a double taxation avoidance agreement between the Oman and any other country, so can we get a benefit of the reduced tax rate? Yes, you can get the benefit of the reduced tax rate, because suppose, let's say for an example, in the Oman income tax law, the withholding tax rate is 10% and in the DTAA, the rate is 5%. So obviously you want to get the benefit of the 5% instead of paying 10, but you can get, it is allowed as per the law, but to get the benefit of 5% you need to take the prior approval in the writing from the Oman Tax Authority. After that you are eligible to get the benefit of 5%. Then, what is the permanent establishment? Permanent establishment, if any establishment satisfied any of the conditions mentioned below, then we call it as a permanent establishment. Like a place of sale, place of management, branch, office, factory, workshop, or any mine, quarry, or other place of construction, or any assembly project, any building site or place of construction, or any assembly project, any foreign person that provides consultancy services or any services in Oman for a period exceeding 90 days in the aggregate in any 12 months, whether directly or through the employees. So we call that particular establishment as a permanent establishment in Oman. And in this particular situation, no need to deduct the withholding tax, because the normal income tax provisions of the Oman will be applicable on that particular establishment. Then that P need to be registered with the Oman Tax Authority and need to comply with the income tax return as per the normal rules and regulations. Then there are some certain FAQs that usually client asks, so I combined all here. So first is, what is the deadline for the submission of the withholding tax return? As I explained already, the 14th of the 14 from the end of the month in which that amount has been paid or credited, means 14th of the succeeding month is the deadline for the filing of the withholding tax return. Some clients even ask that when we need to file our quarterly withholding tax return. So I want to clarify, the withholding tax return in Oman are not on the quarterly basis, these are on the monthly basis. Then, is there any penalty if you do not submit the withholding tax return or submit a belated withholding tax return? Yes, there is a penalty, minimum 100 riyal. However, it can be increased by the tax authority based on case-to-case basis. Is there any interest if we submit the belated return but still tax is still due for the payment? Yes, there is a 1% per month or part of the month is the additional tax, or indirect word you can say it's an interest that is applicable on the tax dues that you have to pay mandatorily. If the amount is big, you can file application to the tax authority. If they will consider your application for the waiver of the additional tax, then they can waive off, otherwise you have to pay. Ultimately it depends on the tax authority's decision whether they want to waive off or not. If in relation to the long-term contract, supplier recognized his revenue on a percentage of completion basis, then when do we need to submit the withholding tax return? In this particular situation, we need to submit the withholding tax return from the end of the month in which we received the invoice on the percentage of completion basis, or part of the amount paid, whichever is earlier. That time we need to file the withholding tax return. Then, if is any person, foreign person, allowed to get the benefit of the withholding tax in Oman in his own country? Suppose there is one foreign vendor of the United Kingdom that is providing services to us in the Oman, and we are deducting the withholding tax and paying to the Oman tax authority. Then that person is saying, can I get the benefit of that withholding tax in the UK? Yes, you can get. How? The Oman tax authority every time, like when on a yearly basis, provides the withholding tax certificate. Based on that withholding tax certificate, that particular vendor can get the benefit as a foreign tax credit in the form of foreign tax credit in his country of residence. Then, is withholding tax compliance applicable on the import of goods? No, import of goods are not subject to withholding tax in the Oman. Are periodic statement of the accounts and balance confirmation exercise required with the suppliers? Yes. For the accuracy of records and timely submission, withholding tax return it is required. Is withholding tax applicable if we entered in an arrangement or transaction with the related parties? Yes. If related parties don't have the permanent establishment in Oman, then withholding tax will be applicable. Then, what is the performance of service? Performance of service, here I listed down some activities, some type of services, but there are some other services also other than this particular list. This list only for the purpose of understanding. like engineering work, site research and layout designing, valuation, revaluation, advertising or promotion of the project, digital marketing, management and secondment services, general or legal consultancy, account and bookkeeping related services, IT support and system implementation related services, skill development and workshop related services, any other transactions based on the nature of work will be considered as the performance of service. The another question: can tax authority ask for the previous year's records? Because we are in the 2020, we just completed 2025 and we are in the 2026. Can tax authority ask from us about the 21? Can they ask for 22? Yes, they can ask. Tax authority can ask for the records and they can do the withholding tax assessment for the prior 10 years as per the law. So they can ask for the compliance and documents. So that's all. Thank you for your time. If you have any queries and concerns, here I provided my mail ID and mobile number. You can contact me with me and definitely will help you. Thank you.